USC football recruits are dropping like flies. Women's basketball has some stiff competition coming soon, and women's soccer has a path to a national championship. All of that and more coming right up. It's the Water Cooler. Where else would you rather be? Good morning and welcome to the Water Cooler, your home for USC Sports Banter. I'm your host, Thomas Johnson, joined alongside MJ Newsom and Hayes Flanagan at the desk. Our entire first block is dedicated to USC athletics. Let's get right into it with Water Cooler talk. Roll the bump. Everyone knows USC football is 4-5, but we're focusing big picture today. Lincoln Riley is in his third year as the head coach of the Trojans and has amassed a 23-13 record. And it doesn't seem to be getting better. USC has lost 2 recruits this past week alone, and overall, the Trojans have lost the recruitments of 2 top 10 recruits and 4 top 80 recruits this cycle. So my question to you guys is, at this point in time, is it even possible for USC football to be relevant on the national level?
I think this is a tough answer, but no. If you look at USC's coaching history, it would be a dynasty if you think about it. Since Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Clay Helton, I mean, he's doing well where he is right now, and Lincoln Riley, these are coaches who win. But since they've been at USC, since the Lane Kiffin era, 9 bowl games through 15 seasons, 4-5 in bowl games, losing record, 1 conference title, and the winning culture is gone. There's a lack of development at USC. If you think about quarterbacks that we've seen while we're here, Jackson Dart was not developed, had to transfer to Ole Miss. Now look at him. If you think about Miller Moss, 4-star coming in, sat behind a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and there's no development. He's benched. Then you think about Caleb Williams. He got here. He was 2 years into his time at Oklahoma. He was already developed. He already knew what he was going to do under that Lincoln Riley offense. So if you really think about it, we have not been developing our players. We come in with these 4-star, 5-stars, and they leave. And they're the same player they were coming in, and sometimes even worse because they don't understand how to play college football.
Well, MJ, before we get to you, Hayes, I want to touch on one of your points. Do we think the lack of development, at least for Miller Moss's sake, is because he wasn't Lincoln Riley's guy originally?
I also think it's because of the scheme. They did not change the scheme at all when Miller Moss came in. You think about Caleb, you think about Miller, they're different quarterbacks. Caleb is a run-prone quarterback that, is very mobile. Miller is not mobile. Miller is a pocket quarterback that throws a great ball, an accurate ball, but totally different. And I think Lincoln Riley's, hesitancy to change and Maiva fits that scheme a lot better. So, it was more the coach didn't meet Miller where he was.
Yeah, Hayes, I would agree with you on so many levels there. I think right now USC just not capable of being a national contender. And you talk about the trend since Pete Carroll. Since 2008, USC has 5 10-plus win seasons. Only 2 sub-500 seasons, but that's not the standard at USC. USC is supposed to be a national powerhouse, has won 11 national titles. You're supposed to win here. And you look at some of the coaches you talked about. Lane Kiffin, 3.5 years, 28-15 record, gone. He's now one of the best coaches in the country at Ole Miss. Steve Sarkisian, it's a different scenario. He did get fired with cause because of alcohol issues, but he wasn't great. 12-6 in a year and a half, gone. Now he's leading Texas, and Texas is back now officially national powerhouse. Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, 55-10, the highest winning percentage by a head coach in Oklahoma history. He was a really good coach, and now all of a sudden it's just not there. And I don't know if I can quite pinpoint why, but I think it is right now impossible to raise a college football powerhouse and build a dynasty in Los Angeles. Is it the Rams, the Chargers, social media influence in LA? I don't know. But you look at all these recruits from modern day, Bosco, Orange County schools, they're all leaving. They're going to the SEC. They're going to the Big Ten. They're going up to Oregon. because the fans there care more, and I think that's a big reason why, is the fan atmosphere is not the same.
As MJ said, we have the recruits in this state, and if you look at places like Georgia and Texas, those are big high school football states, and that's why Georgia is always good. That's why Texas is always good. They're fueled by those high schools. USC, we do get those modern-day recruits. We do get those Bosco recruits. They're not developed, and if you think about USC recruiting, that's never been an issue. Getting recruits here has never been an issue. In 2017, we had the 5th recruiting class in the nation. What was our record? 5 and 7. It's about once you get these recruits here, what are you doing?
Yeah, I specifically with modern day, USC had Damani Jackson, Raleigh Brown, C.J. Williams, all 4 5-stars, all gone. They are all gone at this point. And what has to change? Do we think this new football performance center is going to help? Do we think a revamped NIL can help USC?
Well, I don't think the NIL is the issue. USC's got a top 5 NIL collective across the country. It's just not coming to fruition. And I wonder if USC as an academic school is, tougher to compete with if you're having to focus on academics more than athletics. Because, playing college football is a full-time job. And like I said, I don't know if I can quite pinpoint what the issue is right now. But something's got to change. I just don't think it's possible being in Los Angeles. I don't think it is.
For me, it's the discipline, and I think you see that in the way USC plays, the flags, the way they carry themselves. It's the discipline, and I don't know. To me, being from the Midwest, that seems like a California thing. You have a ton of kids coming from California high schools, and there's just a lack of just pure discipline to win and to grow and to fight, and I just think that comes from there. So if that's going to Texas and working our butt off to get recruits to switch and to come to this California lifestyle, because it's not a lack of resources.
No,
if you think about it, there's
all.
the best trainers in California. You're surrounded by 2 NFL teams, 2 NBA teams, a whole industry that you could flourish in with NIL. So it's not a lack of resources. It's just a lack of effort.
Yeah, the recruiting strategy specifically has been really weird to me. And we'll see if they can get it ironed out in future years. But frankly, I'm done talking about USC football. Back to happy times. We get to talk USC women's basketball again. 2 thumbs up from me. The Trojans have blown through their non-conference schedule so far, sitting at 3-0, so it's time to take a look forward. USC still has a lot of tough games left on the schedule between the Big Ten and non-conference. So who do you guys think will provide the toughest test to USC this season?
I'm going to start with a team that's coming up next week in Notre Dame, coming into the Galen Center next Saturday before USC football goes to the Rose Bowl to play UCLA. Notre Dame's a really good team. Right now ranked 6th. They scored 90-plus in all 3 games. They've only given up north of 60 one time, and they're led by Hannah Hidalgo, and she is a problem. She is a really good player. ACC preseason player of the year, averaged 23 points per game as a freshman. She's got great support around her with Liatsu King and Olivia Miles, both at 17.5 points a game. Don't forget about Sonia Citron having a slow start, average around 17 points a game last season. This is going to be a really good team, a really well-coached team. I'm excited to see how USC can handle it, and luckily for the Trojans, it's at home.
I think the Trojans will escape Notre Dame. Everything's working in their favor for this game. You're playing at home. You've had a good game in Ole Miss, but then you have time to rest. Your starters have not played a full game since then. Cal Poly, they probably won't play today that much against Santa Clara. You have a week to rest up, to get ready, to prep, and then Notre Dame has to fly all the way out here. Everything's in their favor. Now, where it might go wrong is UConn. The Trojans, on December 21st, are going to head out to Connecticut, and they are going to play a primetime game. And I think that's their toughest test, because so far you have a test in Ole Miss. You played in Paris. Okay, you showed that you may not be able to travel that well. They didn't play their best. And then you have a home stretch of games where I think they come out on top against Notre Dame. But that struggle is going to be against UConn, at UConn, right before Christmas. It's all there, and I hope that Juju Watkins can take that moment and really show that she's better than Paige Bueckers. But
get your popcorn ready.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun.
seriously.
Paige versus Juju.
Elite 8 rematch
Yeah.
in primetime,
Yeah.
close to December break. I mean, just look at the AP top 10 poll. USC playing at least 3 teams in this, in UConn, Notre Dame. But I want to talk about UCLA, because I feel like UCLA is a total sleeper pick. They still brought back Lauren Betts, and they had a really quiet but good transfer portal class. I think they were number 1 in the country. I mean, USC had Talia von Oelhoffen and Kiki Iriafen, but UCLA is going to look scary this year. And the Bruins were really good last year. I had them as winning the Pac-12 tournament. USC obviously able to come up top on that one. But UCLA, I think that's honestly going to be the toughest test.
And I think that, again, it's in USC's favor. They see them later in their season. They'll have some games under their belt, and that's going to be a great matchup. Both have built such strong foundations of a program with a great coach, with some solid players that have been, on the team for a while. And I think it's, as you said, going to be a competitive matchup.
Well, USC gets 2 rivalry games against Notre Dame and UCLA. Actually, a third because they'll play UCLA twice. But USC women's basketball is just over an hour away from tip-off against Santa Clara. So if you're watching this live, make your way over to Galen Center after our show. But let's take a break from USC athletics talk. MLB free agency is up and running, and our water cooler crew talked to students around campus about this upcoming offseason.
Today we're going to be going around campus and finding people who look like they're knowledgeable in the sport of baseball and ask them some various baseball trivia questions, see their opinions. Let's get going. You're the Seattle Mariners manager. Who's starting on the bump opening day?
Okay, I have to go with my man, Logan Gilbert.
Gilbert.
I love him. I love him. He's a good guy.
Love it. Old Faithful. There we go. You're Dave Roberts.
Okay.
Opening day.
LA Dodgers.
Who's on the hill?
I'm gonna go Yamamoto, my guy, Old Faithful.
We're gonna go a little start bench cut here. All right. Skubal, Sale, and Skeens. What are you thinking here?
Okay, I'm thinking we start Skeens. Kind of bold, but got faith in the kid. Had a solid rookie year. Who are my other? Sale and
Skubal.
I think I might have to bench Sale and then cut Skubal.
We got a really good sense of how the baseball community feels about the state of the league as it stands right now. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, guys. USC women's soccer opens up the NCAA tournament play this Sunday in Sacramento State, and now they're number 1 seed, Jack, for the first time in their program history, which is kind of surprising considering they won 2 national championships. But they're going to be taking on Sacramento State first. We're going to break down their side of the bracket. Let's talk about this matchup against Sacramento State. They are technically the worst team schedule-wise and record-wise on paper. So they have a really favorable matchup, Jack. I mean, do you see an upset here?
No, I think it's a foregone conclusion. The conversation really starts later in the bracket here. In the second round, I think we think they're going to play St. Louis, who are red hot coming into this tournament, haven't lost since September 1st, won all 3 of their Atlantic 10 tournament games by an aggregate score of 7-1. I think St. Louis gets to the second round, but USC probably makes it through there as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. But going back to Sacramento State, they're 5-6-9, under 500, but they won all their conference tournament games in penalties. So they're looking to drag it out and try to go the extra mile. But St. Louis as well, they're a very good team, only 1 loss in the year. They can definitely beat Kansas. That's going to be a very even game, but St. Louis does win, or Kansas. USC should make it on into the next round past St. Louis or Kansas, whoever wins that game. But we have St. Louis taking on that matchup. But then we have 2 upsets going on in the lower part of that bracket. Maine beating number 5 Wisconsin, who Wisconsin did not look good in Big Ten play. They lost to USC. Princeton beating number 4 Virginia. Virginia, they were nationally ranked. Now they're not. They lost a lot of big games to a lot of ACC teams. We have Princeton upsetting them. So Princeton versus Maine, Princeton beating Maine. So USC taking on Princeton to move into the finals of their bracket. Jack, can you see Princeton maybe taking down the Trojans before they kind of move into their finals on their bracket side?
They're a stout team. I mean, they played Penn State earlier in the regular season, only losing 1-0. Penn State's a team USC narrowly beat in our own regular season. So they're a tough matchup. They run the Ivy League this year. They've got a freshman forward named Alexandra Berry who scores a lot of goals, contributes a lot of assists. Maybe USC should look at her in the transfer portal this coming offseason.
Maybe.
But nonetheless, I think USC makes it to the quarterfinal.
Princeton does have 6 wins in a row, so you always got to watch out for that, especially if they can make it on to face USC. But now, this is where it gets good. This is where, like MJ was mentioning before, you bring out the popcorn because you got USC versus Wake Forest. Wake Forest ranked number 3 in the nation, but they're somehow ranked a number 2 seed. USC ranked number 4 in the nation before this, and they're in the number 1 seed. So this is a prime time matchup between 2 great programs. I mean, this is going to be evenly matched, but who do you have winning?
Unfortunately, I have Wake Forest winning here. I mean, ACC women's soccer is just different. I know USC has national championship caliber history, but there's this player on Wake Forest, Kaya Hanks, who is just an all-around great striker. 8 goals, 7 assists on the season. I think she's just going to be a handful for Brooklyn Cornell and Alyssa Gonzalez. And they have 3 top 10 wins this season. And the ACC, like I said, is just built different. USC hasn't had that same level of rigor in the regular season. Big Ten women's soccer is solid, but not the gauntlet that ACC is. And so I see USC falling here. But for the sake of this exercise, we should take a look at what the semifinals would be.
Yeah, so USC versus Wake, the winner of that will probably play Arkansas. They have the best offense in the country. Duke is number 1 team in the country. We have them advancing. And TCU, by the way, they're 5 seed in this tournament, but they were ranked as a number 7 team in the country. So they were underseeded. They should move on and cause some havoc in their side of the bracket. But USC, the winner of that, USC Wake will advance, and then to face Duke. Who do you have winning the national championship there?
It's Duke. I mean, it's Coach Alakunis's alumna school for her, and like this team is just ridiculous. Goal scorers and contributors all over the pitch. I'm sure multiple players are going to go to the NWSL in the offseason. But it would be pretty cool if USC was able to get to that final and play Duke.
If any team can do it, it's USC. They have the most road wins out of any team in NCAA this year. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk college football playoff, NBA first impressions, and a potential new commitment for USC men's basketball.
Welcome back to the water cooler. We are in a new location for a little CFP breakdown. I'm alongside Stefano Fendrich, Dylan Luden, and MJ Newsome. 12 weeks into the college football season, and a lot is still up in the air. As the bracket stands today, there are 4 Big Ten teams, 4 SEC teams, and sneaking in right now is 1 Big 12 team and 1 Mountain West team. Right now, Oregon, Miami, BYU, and Texas all are getting first-round byes in this bracket. With 3 weeks left of the college football season, which teams do you guys think are in this bracket right now?
I'm going to be honest. I've got to go with the Mormon missile, the second coming of Anakin Skywalker. Death beam pointed to Earth. Give me Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. As you can see right there, they're slotted in at the 11th seed right now. But they're kind of in that bubble right there with Ole Miss, Boise State, and Colorado. But I love Jackson Dart. He said, we got to win out, and that's exactly what they're doing. They blew out Arkansas by 30. They beat Georgia by 18. He's leading the FBS in passing yards per attempt, QB rating, and he's second in the nation with passing yards. They got Trey Smith on the outside, who's a burner. I love Ole Miss, and I think they're going to run the table, and they're going to up their ranking quite a bit in these last few weeks.
Look, Miami are ranked currently number 4 in this college football playoff right now, and they're the leaders in the ACC, but I think that loss that they had last week is a sign of things to come. I think that Clemson are going to fully take that ACC spot. They'll beat Miami if they play in the ACC championship game, and Clemson football is officially back.
I'm with that. I think Clemson is on its way back. I think Dabo Swinney's done a good job kind of recuperating that program. I'm going to go with the Big 12. Shadur Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, they're going to be in the Big 12 championship. They're going to beat BYU because they're trending really well. And, of course, who doesn't want to have Travis Hunter in the college football playoff? I love the job that Deion Sanders has done. He's a winner. He's proven that his team is much better this year than last year. 2 good losses this year. I mean, at Nebraska, when Nebraska was playing better, and obviously they've lost 3 straight now, but then you lost 1 to Kansas State, who's probably better than you in the Big 12. I still have Colorado getting to the CFP. That'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone was hoping for last year, and that was a bummer of a season. But if you take a look at this bracket right now, the only teams that are really guaranteed to have a spot is Indiana, because they are if they win out, and then let's say they go to the Big Ten championship, they still have a 1 loss. They're guaranteed in. And then you look at Boise State, they're looking unstoppable to take the Mountain West. That is a practically lock in. So who do you guys think is out? I mean, there's a lot in the air right now. Who are you taking to not even be in contention in this bracket in 3 weeks?
I mean, it's rough. I mean, MJ was asking us before we got in here, you know, it might be possible that it's more likely that Alabama and Georgia are both out than in. And I mean, the Crimson Tide, I'm sorry, MJ, but I'm just not that confident in Jalen Milroe anymore. I'm sorry to say, but I think they might just play their way out of the bracket. I'm not too confident in them. They haven't looked the best this season under DeBoer. I just think they're missing Saban, man. I'm sorry.
I miss him too.
Yeah, I mentioned Miami. I don't think they're going to be in it. I agree with MJ. I think Colorado will be in over BYU, and I don't think Notre Dame is going to end up being in the college football playoff. I think the Georgia Bulldogs are too good not to make it, and I think they'll move on and make the college football playoff, even though Carson Beck has not been playing that good.
I'm going to stick along with that, but go on the contrary. I don't think Georgia's going to make the playoff this year. I know they're the first team out right now.
Your SEC is taking a big hit.
Yeah, here's what I'm saying. I know I sat on the desk last week and said Georgia will be the #1 team in the country when it's all said and done because Kirby's going to get his guys right. No. Your Mormon missile, Jackson Dart, came in last week and was slinging the rock around. And Carson Beck in his last 4 games, 5 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's all I got to say. I don't think I think Georgia's got a chance to beat Tennessee this weekend, but then you play UMass. Georgia Tech's no much easier. I don't see Georgia winning all 3 of those games.
And MJ, to your point, I don't think anyone could have seen this bracket standing how it is today.
Crazy.
The SEC is in shambles right now. No one knows what is going on, but as this college football season has showed us, anything can happen, right? I mean, this is still not guaranteed. And that is how the NBA is looking right now. Thomas, can you tell us more about that?
Well, how about the season debut of the Couches? Thank you so much for that, guys. Hayes just alluded to it. College football is wrapping up its season, but the NBA just got started. Let's first take a look at the Eastern Conference standings as they currently sit. It's been the Cavaliers who have been a big surprise this season, sitting at 13-0. Yes, 13-0, and atop the league, while the reigning champion Boston Celtics have a 10-3 mark. And then there's a bunch of muck, where the #3 team is only 4.5 games ahead of team number 15 in the conference. Now, if we move over to the West, there are 11 teams at 500 or better, so no team that is dominant like the Cavaliers. Although the Oklahoma City Thunder do have the #1 spot in the conference. And I'm now joined on the desk by Sebastian Bustamante and Kyle Frankel. First of all, welcome. But most importantly, who has been the biggest NBA surprise to you guys this season?
Who needs LeBron? Not Cleveland. Cavaliers. Cavaliers, 6 scores in double digits, best offense in the league, top 6 defense in the league, but they're surprising too much. Everybody's overperforming. I think they're going to regress. They'll make the playoffs. They're a good team, but they're going to finish around 4 or 5 in the East. They're not the best team in the East by far. It's not even close. It's the Celtics. So the Cavaliers have been the biggest surprise, but that's all they are. They're a surprise. They're just a surprise.
The fact you just said the Cavaliers have the best offense in the league is
Well, they do right now by the numbers.
almost as shocking as you saying the Celtics are better than the Knicks.
Statistical
So,
fact. Statistical fact.
I'm going to go with a contender, not a pretender. I'm going with the Warriors. I think everyone's pretty shocked. They're 9-2. I mean, they got rid of one of the Splash Bros and picked up another one. Buddy Hield's shooting a 47% career high from 3. More importantly, they're 3rd in points per game, 2nd in rebounds, 3rd in assists, 3rd in steals, 4th in three-point percentage. I mean, if you're Steve Kerr, what more do you want from your system? And let's talk about Draymond, man. Career low, 2 technical fouls. Normally gets around 20 a season, 150 in his career.
You need him to get like 15, though. You need like 15 techs.
Maybe for the energy, but that just shows you how good the Warriors are right now. We don't need the techs. And then
need
let's
the
talk
techs.
slow-mo. Kyle Anderson playing great on both sides of the ball at whatever pace he wants. I love what the Warriors are doing. They just beat the Celtics, Thunder, and Mavericks. Let's go.
Well, I'm going to shift over to the Milwaukee Bucks because who predicted that Giannis was going to average 33 points and that the Bucks would be 4-8? 12th in the Eastern Conference. They are winners of 2 straight. So we might see something turning around, and their point differential is only negative 2.5 points per game, and that's with 4 more losses. And Dame's really heating up. 26 points per game for him. But beyond Giannis and Dame, Bobby Portis is your next guy?
Yo, Portis puts up some numbers.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
12.9 points per game.
Respect on Bobby,
He's only
man.
started in 1 game. In 11
Bobby's
games
that
he's
guy.
played it.
Dude,
Yeah.
he doesn't need to be a starter.
But do you
He
really want Bobby Portis to be your 3rd leading scorer?
Well, it's been working lately. They have a huge 2-game win streak.
Yeah, 2-game win streak.
Huge
And there's
2-game win streak.
They started 2-8.
And they
started
doubled
the
their
season.
wins in the
Brutal
last
started
2
the
games.
season.
They doubled their wins in their last 2 games. Whatever.
50%
I don't know.
increase.
I do think the Bucks are going to improve as the season goes on. I just don't think Bobby Portis can be your 3rd leading scorer. Even when you have Dame and Giannis, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
Maybe Brook Lopez steps up.
Maybe Brooke Lopez steps up.
Sound
but
like a guy who hates Bobby Portis.
As a Hawks fan,
I'm seeing right now.
as a Hawks fan, I can't enjoy Bobby Portis. I just can't.
Team
But
Bobby.
Team Bobby.
Team
You're
Bobby.
I'm not
I'm
Team
Team
Bobby.
Bobby.
I'm anti-Bobby. But for Jack Hallinan sake, let's hope the Cavaliers maintain their undefeated record. But for now, let's get into some discussion. It's time for the great debate. Roll the bump. The Kansas City Chiefs have established themselves as a premier team in the NFL, winning 2 straight Super Bowls. They are primed for another playoff run, sitting at a perfect 9-0. But will the magic continue? Can the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat?
Dude, I think the answer is pretty obvious. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, the defense is.
Yes.
You're also saying
yes.
Okay, great.
Well, it looks like I'm disagreeing with you. I want to hear what you guys have to say first.
I mean, the defense has been looking great off the gate, holding teams to 17.9 points a game, 5th among total defenses, and they're especially guarding the run extremely well. I mean, only allowing 5 rush TDs and 750 rushing yards in general. And let's talk Mahomes. Dude, he's not having one of his best years. He's already thrown 9 interceptions.
Objectively bad.
Objectively very bad. I mean, 4th amongst QBs in interceptions. He's not in the top 10 in passing yards. He's not in the top 10 in touchdowns in general, and that just shows you the depth of the Chiefs. Even when Mahomes isn't firing on all cylinders, this team is still solid. So
It doesn't matter because they're still winning games. He's got 4 game-winning drives.
they've got
when
the
the
refs.
defense steps up, and they've got the refs.
They've got the refs.
I'm sorry,
man.
but the Chiefs have the 9th best point differential in the league, despite having the best record.
True.
I
And
love that though.
okay, yeah.
Wins close games.
There's 2 ways that you can look at it: is they battle and they win the close games, or they're not good enough to separate and beat the teams they should be beating by 2 touchdowns.
Or they want better TV ratings, so they just let it get close.
True.
Wow, so you're calling collusion
Well,
with the Chiefs and the league?
I'll say best thing that could happen to the Chiefs this year, losing
Lose
this
to the
week
Bills.
to the Bills.
Yeah.
Don't want to go into playoffs undefeated.
Take
Don't
the
want to be
pressure off.
undefeated.
Take it
Go into
off.
playoffs, they're going to play tight.
Take it off.
Yeah, take off the pressure.
Okay.
I'm right there.
I will say it is super tough to beat the same team twice. So if the Bills do win this weekend and the Chiefs and the Bills have a rematch in the AFC Championship game,
Go
I think
Chiefs.
you got to choose
You
the
have
Chiefs
to.
there.
Bills should throw the game this week.
You think the Bills should
I
throw
think
the
the Bills
game?
should throw the game this week.
Hot take, but great take.
Well, I mean, Josh Allen might throw a pick, so he might throw away the game. You never know. You can never tell.
Dude,
with him.
he's bottom of the league in picks. He's doing great this year.
Well, if Patrick Mahomes is doing bad, we expect him to get better.
True.
Therefore, we have to expect Josh Allen to regress to the mean. I don't know, maybe, but
Big
you
statistics guy over
you
here.
guys are gonna say
Big
three-peat.
statistics guy.
You guys are gonna say three-peat.
Three-peat.
I am picking the field. I'm choosing the field, but we'll see how it goes. To wrap up
Andy
the
doesn't
show
like
with
Bobby
final
Portis.
memos, USC men's basketball is in prime position to score the commitment of the son of former NBA great Carmelo Anthony. It's time for final memos. Let's roll the bump. Kiyan Anthony is a top 35 recruit in the country, and he is announcing his college decision between Syracuse, his dad's alma mater, and USC today. So if you're Eric Musselman and company, what is your recruiting pitch to Kiyan to lure him away from Syracuse?
Have you other guys ever been to Syracuse, New York?
No, not personally.
There's a reason I did not apply
Yeah.
to that school.
Tom's, in the words of you, 2 thumbs down. It gets a major doom.
Major
for me.
doom?
Major
No.
doom.
That's a bad rating.
Syracuse, I mean, all you gotta say is LA to Syracuse. LA to Syracuse. Syracuse, it's the weather sucks all year round. It's just a gloomy place. Nice college town. No offense to anyone from Syracuse, but it's just no comparison. There's just no comparison. I cannot fathom why you would rather be in Syracuse than Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pitch is simple if you're the USC coach. How many prospects has Syracuse put in the NBA in the last 5 years? 1 in 2020, Elijah Hughes. What team does he play for? I didn't think so, bro. I don't know what team he plays for. And then let's talk USC. Drew Peterson just won a ring with the Celtics. Evan
Whoa.
Sorry.
He was on the G League team.
Is the main Celtics.
He was given
The
a
main
ring
Celtics.
from the Celtics. Given a ring. Evan Mobley's playing a big role on the Cavaliers.
Yeah, why did you start with Drew Peterson when Evan Mobley's right
Dude,
there?
because he won a ring on the Celtics.
I kind of wanted to go bottom up. You guys kind
Okay,
of spoiled
okay.
the approach, but it's all good. We'll just keep rolling. Boogie Ellis, Sacramento Kings, Stockton Kings. Bronny, South Bay Lakers. What, dude? That's already 4 players out the gate. You're making this pitch way more complicated. If you're the coach, you say, come to LA. You've been in New York, man. Fade Syracuse. Fade the college. Come check out LA, man. Come to South Bay.
Well, USC got to practice at the beach just a couple weeks ago. Like, I think for me, that is your main recruiting pitch. Like you said, you could practice in the snow in Syracuse, or you can practice at the beach year long. And we're getting a look at it. Just some vibes, great vibes. It's sunny. I mean, we're in November. I think this happened in late October, and it's still 60, 70 degree. It's an awesome time. But also, on the other side, if you're Kion, you want to separate yourself from your dad. You want to have your own legacy. Like, you don't want to go to the same school as him. I think that's an easy enough pitch, too, is you want to make your own career. You don't want to just be a Nepo baby and go to Syracuse for whatever. I think that's your main pitch. But that is all the time we have today. For our entire cast and crew, I'm Thomas Johnson. We will see you next time on The Water Cooler.